All right, about that time again. It's the Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Powered.
Joe Yock, Matt Warner, Emily Austin still gallivanting
around the
Europe.
world.
We expect her to come back next week. We think. We shall see.
With a big, bright smile.
We shall see.
She always brings that big, bright smile. And it might be
lights up a room.
Extra bright when she comes back.
Just lights up a room.
Just because she's been gone for a couple weeks.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's jump into this game. Liberty, Wake Forest. And, this was an all-timer. 1-point loss, 37-36 for Liberty.
Wow.
Let's start the play everyone's talking about because this is the
We're
question.
Going right out of the gate?
We'll start there and work our way back.
Okay.
Everybody talking.
Yeah.
Everyone you come across to about this game, the first thing they say is, well, what'd you think of the two-point conversion call? What'd you think of that? Liberty elects to go for two after scoring the touchdown with 1:11 left in the fourth quarter. They could have tied it with the extra point. They elect to go for the win.
They did.
Joe, I know, first off, you were totally on board. Take me into what you thought of that call and the play call itself.
I did take to Twitter regarding this
you did.
call. I did.
At Yock Talk.
At Yock Talk did take to Twitter. But no, I was completely on board. And the reason that I was completely on board was you got to 37-36 on sort of a crazy play that happened, right?
Miraculous play.
Miraculous play that happened. And then, you're on the road against Wake Forest. You're facing Sam Hartman. And you got a chance to win the game right there. So, could you kick the extra point? And you see there was a minute 10 left.
Minute 11.
Minute 11 left. And okay, then he has the opportunity to drive down, and they have the opportunity to kick field goal. Or could you really put the pressure on them, go for two, and you don't have to face Sam Hartman in overtime.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to, and you feel as if you have a play. I was going to coach, I've got a play that they feel very confident is going to work. And they said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And that's Coach Freeze's style.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's got their styles.
Yeah.
And he has an aggressive style. So I was 100% on board for it.
Yeah, I was on board with going for two. I'm with you. You get that play, the tip off of Snead, looks like it was picked, ends up in the hands of Demario Douglas, which, by the way, how much did he just nonchalant that?
Just
like
easy.
The announcers were even like, they didn't even know it was caught
happened?
for a while, and he's just kind of just standing there all nonchalant with it. What a game for Demario. So you're feeling like, well, we just caught a huge break. Yeah. Maybe this is our night. Let's go for it. Now, I'll say this. Typically, when you see a coach do this and go for two to try to get the win, it's not with 1:11 left, right? It's usually like there's 5 seconds in the game, and it ends here. It's over here.
Yeah.
So what that decision did was not necessarily, I heard somebody say, like, oh, they decided to win it now. Well, you weren't really doing that. You were essentially saying, we're not going to go to overtime.
Right.
So you just took that off the table.
Yeah.
So there's still plenty of time. Wake had all their timeouts. They could have done something had Liberty even made it. But you're just saying it ends in regulation. We're not going into overtime. Which, by the way, another reason why I think this wasn't a terrible call, that last scoring drive from Wake Forest, 5 plays, 71 yards to go up 37-30. And that was the first time really this season where I kind of looked at that Liberty defense and thought, they're running out of gas a little bit. Are they because Wake Forest marched down pretty quickly there on that drive. So I don't mind it. The play call is where I get a little bit, you kind of go back and forth. And you said a coach feels like, hey, we got to play. And I saw people trying to say, oh, it was the perfect play call. He missed the read. And it was basically the same thing we saw against Troy.
2018. And the thing that you have to understand as a coach is you're expecting a certain look when you get down the two. Like, we really feel as if this can work. They hadn't run the play since 2018, right? The old Philly special. One of your favorites, Matthew.
That's right.
One of your favorites. And it just got a little bit, and I went back and I didn't really get a good look at the replay from an overhead view, but somebody actually posted so you really could see closer what was going on. And the safety was to the side of Caden Salter, and he's the one that picked it up. Now, with that being said, where you get a little dicey to me is the fact that I think it was Caden Salter or bust, right, in that situation. 2018, Troy did a good job of covering, who's the quarterback there? Was it Buckshot?
Yeah.
I think it was Buckshot. Yeah. Did a good job of covering him. And then DJ Stubbs, who threw the ball a lot.
Right. And that's the big difference.
We used to joke about
We
used to joke about how much DJ Stubbs threw the ball.
At their pro day this past year, I was like, you sure you don't want to throw for these scouts while they're here?
Yeah. Right. So DJ Stubbs, who made that throw, right? Well, he saw BJ Farrow on the crosser on the second read and was able to do it. He was used to throwing the football.
That's the big thing for me.
Yeah, and I think what happened with CJ Yarbrough as he was coming, Caden Salter wasn't there, and he's not used to throwing the football. You can't blame CJ Yarbrough,
no.
right? So he's like, oh, no, it's not there. Yeah. His eyes go down, and he's thinking, I just got to get in. Yeah. and I think it was Noah Frith that was coming across the backside, or Sneed, somebody, whoever it was that was coming across that. If you had a little bit more savvy to be able to look up and see that second read, but people blaming CJ Yarbrough for the second read.
No, that
it was a hit or miss to him.
And I saw those people being like, "You missed the second read." I'm like, Hugh Freeze is trying to get his actual quarterback to find the second read. He's complaining about that, much less a receiver that didn't play last year, hasn't thrown a pass in his collegiate career, and you're expecting him to be like, first read taken. Like, no, that's not. I mean, that's too much to ask.
And you look at the safety, he sees it, and I thought it was zone. When I originally saw it, when I originally commented about it, I thought it was zone but when you look at it, the outside receiver goes across and the man, he runs with him. What happened is they're playing man to the trip side. They had one guy here, Liberty had one guy here to the right side of the run of the play. They ran him off across the back of the end zone. It was the safety on the backside. He figured out what was going on and he saw, oh, looky there. Here comes Mr. Salter trying to saunter his way out into and then he picked him up and that's what
Freeze said today. He even said like, that safety may have kind of just fell into that. That wasn't necessarily the plan, but it ended up working out for them. But yeah, tough way to end, certainly. You love the aggressiveness. It's just, that's a lot to ask of a receiver. Personally, I'm kind of more of the mindset, like, I want the ball in my best playmaker's hands to make a play in that situation, which, Caden Salter gives you that run pass option. But whatever. Great effort, great game. You're right there. You're knocking on the door. But I'll say this.
No doubt.
I was thinking about that play that led to the touchdown deflected into the hands of Demario Douglas.
You know what Demario Douglas said when he caught that ball?
What did he say?
Too easy.
Too easy.
Yeah, he was just too easy.
If you find a way to win that game, that is on the Mount Rushmore of Liberty all-time plays, right? You have like the Eric Green catch against Eastern Michigan or whatever back in the day.
I love that.
The Coastal Carolina field goal blocks to win the conference and in the bowl game. And then probably like the Virginia Tech kick, Barbier.
Barbier's Virginia Tech kick.
And then that one to be, and we mentioned it last week, like how important would a win over Wake Forest be?
The Buckshot Baylor bootleg.
I know you do. I know you like that.
It's one of my favorites.
I know.
It's just the perfect
What
picture
followed
post.
that season kind of made it less important as you went
But
along.
he held the ball up. And
that was nice. That was nice.
It was good.
But that win would have been top 3 win all time in program history, you think?
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, you got the Baylor one was like, wow, Liberty is on the scene.
Sure.
Right? This one, you look at it and you're here. It wasn't a wow, it's underdog Liberty really trying to pull one out, right? It wasn't like that. It was like our athletes are with your athletes, our coaching staffs with your coaching staff. These are two really good football. You heard Wake's coach.
He said basically that's an ACC team we play.
Yes, like these are really good football teams playing football against each other. Like this program's got depth, it's got talent, it's got a coaching staff, it's got all the things that you have to put together to have a big time program.
Yeah. All right. So going back through this game, just some things that stood out. Number one, you saw Liberty take an approach very similar to what they did against Virginia Tech a couple years ago in the tempo that they played from the get-go. And I remember watching that Tech game and thinking the same thing, like, whoa, they're all just standing around letting that play clock bleed down to 5 from the first quarter. And I think that was incredibly smart by Freeze. We've seen him do that a couple of times now to try to limit the amount of possessions, especially get against a potent offense like Wake Forest. And that helped keep him in the ball game.
I agree.
Going against maybe what is his nature and shows you some maturity, certainly on him as he's gotten older in the coaching ranks, where it's less about speed, tempo, and it's like, all right, we'll slow it down and we'll help our defense out, limit possessions.
Yeah, quality possessions, no doubt. Like that.
The other thing, as good as the defense played in this game, and they played great. They gave up a couple of short field scores that kind of, messed with the stats a little bit. They did it without Javon Scruggs. That's the most, if you were to take a poll,
we discussed that.
Who's the most important player on this defense? It would be him. Not just talent, but leadership, getting guys lined up right. Just the veteran, the savviness that he has, and he wasn't out there, which makes the performance even more impressive, I think.
I mean, if you go into the Liberty podcast archives, and you watch the first one with Jack Curtis, that answers your question right there. Wasn't really a question, it was a statement, and it's right. Is that that to me, when I found out, I think we texted back and forth about when Javon Scruggs wasn't playing, that was a game changer to me. I was like, man, you're facing a team, the first team that you've really faced that is going to throw the football with a quality NFL quarterback and quality receivers. Like you need the general back there. And for Liberty to step up defensively and play as well as they did defensively without him, is a testimony to the players and to the coaching staff.
Well, and Coach Freeze said today, they had to move Quentin Reese to play a little bit more high safety. He's like, he hasn't really played there much at all. Yeah. He's like, there were a couple of mistakes that were a little bit costly, but he also played probably his best game as a Flame. 6 tackles, an interception, a tackle for loss. So even when you're seeing guys have to move out of position, you see that the talent they have on that side of the ball. And on the defensive line. Remember we talked last week about that slow mesh and give them problems? Slow mesh. Like they did not get much out of that. They did what you said they needed to. Pressure, attacking, that push up the middle. And another thing they did a few times, which I would love to ask, and I didn't get a chance to stick around and talk to Josh Aldridge about it, but they brought whether it was a linebacker or a safety in late, and his whole thing was he just ran, jumped as high as he could, got his hands up, no thought of even getting to the quarterback. Just to try to, get a tip or just hide his, his view of what's downfield. And I thought that was pretty clever as well.
Where in the slow mesh that Liberty did a good job in understanding is they attacked, they got good pressure from the outside. See, they were to get the edge pressure on. They were to slip under and get to the slow mesh, because once you commit the linebackers to that and he pulls the ball away, which they're trying to get you to do, then they can throw the ball over top of your heads. But what they did is they did a lot of nice slants, inside twists on them, and they're able to get to the slow mesh while it was still there. The only other team that I've really seen do that against Wake Forest is Clemson. I went back and watched some Clemson film against Wake Forest, and they were able to do it. But when teams decide to wait on it, that's when they get burned. And Liberty attacked it, and they did a really good job. I mean, look at the rushing stats.
Well, I was just going to say, 26 yards rush. No. Is that right? Hold on. 43 yards rushing in the game, 0.8 yards per carry for Wake Forest. That's an incredible job. When really you'd say the rush defense, that's been an area where they've given up some big runs over the last couple of weeks.
Incredible.
Yeah, they shut them down.
Great job, D.
Yeah.
Great job.
All right,
great job.
Also great job by the special teams. Take a look in the first half. You had 2 field goals made. Now, they ran him out there for a couple of 50-plus yarders, which you don't really hold against him. And he had enough leg on at least one of them, but just not able to get him through. You had the punt block, which was kind of a spark. Jerome Jolly blocking it out of the back of the end zone. And then you had Shedra Lewis go down in the first quarter. He didn't really play after that. And you got to see Demario Douglas in kickoff return. Here's the thing that every coach has to battle. There's almost not a time when you don't want Demario Douglas on the field. But you can't do it. You just can't do it, because how explosive was he in the kickoff return game?
Yeah, I mean, Demario Douglas, and once again, Wake Forest talked about after the game, it's like they have 3. When he's on the field, I mean, he is something special. And the other thing too, I think that Demario Douglas really does well is, remember we talked about this last week, you start finding receivers that if you have a quarterback who's not going to sit back there and go, I'm running a dig route, I'm running a clear route, I'm running a curl route over here. It's guys that when you run your routes and then it all breaks down, guys that have a savvy, they know where to be, they know the holes to find, they know how to get away from defenders, and then there's a connection with the quarterback. The Caden Salter and Demario Douglas, they've got that connection.
And he's just so stinking quick.
And then once he gets the ball in his hands, you got to get him on the ground.
Right.
That's the other part of it. That's going to be another big storyline moving forward between those two, because I think they're really going to connect well.
All right, today's press conference, I asked Hugh Freeze, we had those 2 series with Jonathan Bennett. I asked him, what was the thought process there? Why did you elect to go to that? Bennett threw an interception first series. Then Wake threw one right back very next play, and then Liberty went 3 and out, but was able to kick a field goal. And Freeze basically said he felt like Salter was just out of sorts a little bit. It was more so, hey, take a breath, chill for a minute, just settle in, and maybe you find something with Bennett in the meantime, and obviously that didn't happen. And I think, honestly, going forward now, you would probably say, unless Charlie Brewer comes back and something develops late in the season with him, this is Caden Salter's job. End of story.
You got to go.
End of story. You got to ride with him. And we saw the big mistake, which he avoided the previous week with the fumble that ended up leading to the go-ahead touchdown for Wake Forest. But what you love after the fumble, there's no fear with this kid. No fear. He comes right back out, drives him right down the field.
T-shirt underneath those.
Those were great, weren't they?
He's got no fear
I bet you had a couple of no fear T-shirts in your closet.
T-shirt.
Yeah, I bet you did.
He's got no fear T-shirt. Right, 100% to that point. Yeah. I agree with you. You got to go with Caden Salter. The thing that sort of I find a little bit amusing in a way is that Coach Freeze came out during the week and basically said that some of the decision making he made. What word did he use? Sickened?
Yeah.
I think he used.
I think
I'm not trying to put words in the man's mouth.
It was something to that effect.
But it was something about he's sickened. And if this continues on, basically his butt will be sitting beside me on the bench, right? And I think that tune's maybe changed a little bit
I think
now.
it has to.
And then, like, for you, I didn't know about that today's press conference. Like, well, no, you just need to take a breath.
Right.
So was it really? I mean, you need to sit down and
it's funny because Freeze said, and it's something we've talked about in here before. He said today, he's like, you know what? Game planning can be really overrated. Is what he said.
He said that today.
And that's something that you and I had talked about.
Yeah,
where you're
it's
saying,
coming around.
Like, as a coach, it's hard.
Yes.
This is your life. You're studying. You know so much.
Yeah.
It's like Jack Curtis told us.
Yeah.
It's not how much I know. It's how much I can get them to understand.
Correct.
And so as a coach, you're trying so hard to do that. But sometimes at the end of the day, it's who's the best athlete?
Yeah.
Who has the most talent? And when the game plan goes in the trash, either because they can't execute it or you get a different look defensively or whatever, and it's just backyard football, go make a play. You want your best talent out there, and Caden Salter provides that.
Here's the thing, and this is where you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Is as a coach, if you go, and this is the balance. I think this is what Coach Freeze is trying to figure out. There's a balance, and the balance is this. I'm not going to throw out my fundamentals as coaching football and understanding reads and footwork and arm placement and where my eyes go and pre-snap. I'm not going to you can't throw that out the window. Mm-hmm. Okay, because the coaches that throw that out the window, they say, okay, just go do it, whatever. Sooner or later, that's going to catch up to you. So my whole point with Caden Salter is this, is that Coach Freeze, Coach Austin continue to work on every aspect of their game the same way you treated Malik Willis, the same way you treated Buckshot, and you continue to work on him being fundamental, understanding reads, understanding all that he's got to do week to week to week to week, and he gets a little bit better, a little bit better. Yet at the same time, also communicating to him that, listen, we get it.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna mess some things up. You're not gonna do it as a game plan deal. What you're gonna do is you're gonna release out, you're gonna scramble around, you're gonna do a little backyard football, and you're gonna make some plays. Right? So go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
We're okay with that because we're trying to win football games. But at the same time, we also have to understand that we got to continue to coach you. And you got to continue. They had to put pressure on him where it's like, you can't just be that. You have to continue to get better. And I think that's sort of like finally acknowledging that part with Coach Freeze.
And Freeze said today too, like, he's very coachable. He's like, everything you tell him, yes, sir, absolutely, I'll try to do that. Like, he's very coachable. He's not like some guys when you hear like, oh, they're not picking stuff up, it's because, well, they don't think they need to.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not that. It's just, he's young. He's trying to figure it out at this level. But boy, it does help when he's got a legs and arm like that to kind of make up for maybe a missed read here, but I'm going to make something happen someplace else.
And one other point, Matt, I think this is, and I heard him, Coach Freeze, say this, like, is he spending enough time in the film room? Okay. This is another area where you have to be careful because it's like he needs to spend time in the film room. He needs to understand defenses, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you start overloading his brain with all this different stuff, and you get, I always like to use the analogy, you get the saying, paralysis by analysis. Right? And so you take a great athlete who can make plays, help you win football games, and by golly, he was in that film room for 30 hours this week, and he was trying to understand every defense. Well, then he gets in the game, and you start doing like that, and you forget what you really are and what really helps the team win. So there may be something to be said, and I can't believe as a former coach you'd ever heard me say this, but there may be something to be said by not spending so much time in the film room.
Well, listen, he's shown in 2 games this year, you can call it the clutch gene or whatever. Like, the moment doesn't get too big. Against Southern Miss, came in, tough situation, led Liberty down, ended up leading them to a win coming from behind. This game, same situation, kept coming back. And really a big run that he had as well in this game, going back to his long touchdown run. I think it was 43, 44 yards. We saw him do what you had talked about in the UAB game. His natural tendency is pressure, roll right. Roll right. Even one time where he started left, it's like, circle it back right. So that's something that you need to change up. And even I feel like late in this game, a couple of times, Liberty had a design roll him out left, which is something they'll probably need to do just to try to keep people honest a little bit. But that run up the middle is where you talked about, like stepping up in the pocket And then, not only do you have a lot of space, but yeah, you make one man miss there, and he almost broke a couple more and just did get tripped up by a D lineman. Like, that's where he can really be dangerous.
Yeah, I think what you'll start seeing more from Liberty is maybe some more designed quarterback draws, because where these elusive quarterbacks are also very effective. It's natural, like you just said. It's natural to roll, to go horizontally, get to the outside and try to beat people. Well, you start playing some of these teams that are fast. Why is it natural? Because you're faster than everybody else. When you're in high school, you're faster than everybody else. Then you get to college, and that changes, where the linebackers from UAB can run. The linebackers of Wake Forest can run. The ones at BYU and Virginia Tech and Arkansas, all these schools are going to be able to run, so you're not going to be able to get away with it. But where there is a lot of room is when you can coach either through draws or stepping up in the pocket, is when you're making those moves as you're heading vertically. And I think we'll see a lot more of that from Kane Salter.
Yeah. Also, a big game from Day Hunter. A little under 100 yards running the football for him. Some tough running. And remember, that was without Shedra Lewis for 3/4 of that game. So great to see him really get that opportunity. 18 carries, 93 yards and a score.
Great game.
And you hope TJ Green is back this week. I would wager bet he will be. There's no reason to rush him back in a game like Wake Forest. Get him in there against Akron. Get him some carries. Get him kind of knocking the rust off. And we'll see about Shedro.
Any update on
it's too early to tell. Ankle is what he said he injured in that game. So we'll see. But hopefully you get TJ Green back to help out in the run game. Well, like I always say, Joe, it's a saying I've had for years.
Just give it to me. It's a great saying.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Right? Say it all the time. And the same can be true when you're looking to buy a house. Am I right, Joe? Same can be said. You're looking to buy a house.
It's perfect.
You don't have, you're not pre-approved to get your home loan.
Looking for houses.
And all of a sudden you find the one, and it's like, well, guess what? Somebody else is more prepared than you were. Tell the folks how you, Joe Yock, and Alcova Mortgage can help make sure people are ready when they find the house they want to get.
Yeah, we will get you pre-approved, so you can have that letter in your hand, and when you go out to shop for that home, look for that home, you find that home, you got a local lender right here. They'll be able to hand that letter to the listing agent, be able to take that and say, listen, this loan is ready to go. We're ready to move. How fast do you want to close? Basically is what we say to them. So Alcova Mortgage, local company. Reason it's called Alcova, started in Allegheny County, Virginia. Alcova, corporate headquarters based out of Roanoke, Virginia. So we're here to help people get into homes. So and very excited about it.
And if, as far as getting pre-approved, it's easy, and you even have an app for it.
Like the Demario Douglas catch. It's almost too easy.
Almost too easy.
Almost too easy, yeah. We got a great app we can send you. You go on there, it uploads all your documents, just like that.
Sound,
all your documents uploaded, and we can have you approval in a jiff.
So check out Joe Yock, Alcova Mortgage. Do you have a number or a website? Where do you want to send people?
I would say just the easiest way to do it, honestly, I get my website, but just Google my name. It'll be the first thing that comes up. Joe Yock.
J-A-U-C-K. What am I saying?
How long have we been doing this?
I don't know. That's embarrassing. That's terrible.
That's all right. Yeah, J-A-U-C-H. Google Joe Yock. The first thing that comes up, Joe Yock, Alcova Mortgage. Click on there, take you to my website, and you're off.
Taken care of. He'll get you taken care of. We appreciate the folks at Alcova Mortgage for helping support the podcast. All right, let's move on now. Liberty, 2-1. They now host Akron this week. The Zips.
The Zips took one on the chin.
Boy, they've taken a couple. They're 1-2 on the year. Their only win in the opener in overtime against St. Francis, which Liberty folks of a certain age, you remember St. Francis, and it wasn't good memories. That was actually after that Baylor game, a few games later in that season, as things kind of spun out of control a little bit. So 1-2, they went to overtime against St. Francis to win that game. In their last two games, the Zips have played Michigan State, and on Saturday they played Tennessee. They've been outscored 115-6. 115-6. So things aren't going real well. They've averaged 1.8 yards per carry on the season, 51 yards per game. That's fourth worst in the country. So they've struggled running the ball. Their quarterback, DJ Irons, is pretty good. Moves around well, has a good arm, hasn't thrown an interception. They haven't given up 15 sacks, though. So cause for concern if you're Akron that Liberty D-line is going to get after you.
Yeah, and the thing with Liberty is after an emotional game like that, right? Then you go into a game right now that you know you should win, and you're going to be a heavy favorite in, right? And if you want to get, my Liberty pep talk right now is, if you want to be able to compete at the highest level and you want to be able to move forward and play these games that are coming down the road, then you can never take a step back. You can never take a week off and get a set. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. So this is a game where emotionally Liberty has to regroup themselves, have a great week of practice, and come out and execute even better than what they did in the Wake Forest game. You got to continue to get better each and every week. There are no step back, no step back. You got to move forward, and you got to have a great game on Saturday.
Yeah, Akron's head coach Joe Moorhead, in his first year, former Mississippi State head coach, has been an OC at Oregon, Penn State, really good play caller, but he'll have his hands full with that Liberty defense. To your point, though, could you imagine, like if Liberty had, we can do this, players, coaches, staff, they can do it. If Liberty had pulled out that win against Wake, 7-0 heading into BYU was on the table.
It was on the table.
And then you're thinking, depending on what BYU does.
BYU took a.
They did. They didn't play so well against Oregon. But that could have been a top 25 matchup. And you think about, could that have been even a game day type deal? You never know.
Not go that.
You could have done it. But obviously, you still have 6-1 heading into that game out there. And really,
App State got a game day.
App
State got a game day without the game being on national television.
That's great. Well, you know what? They got a lot of attention for how that one finished, though. Think about it, though, the expectations for this season, how they've changed from midway through the first half against Southern Miss to right now.
Yeah.
Halftime, third quarter against Southern Miss to right now.
Yeah.
It goes from being like, man, are they going to win 4 games this year? To now, like, they could be bowl eligible before they even hit that tough stretch.
Pull up the schedule real quick.
All right.
Pull up. See what we got here. So
we
know you got Akron this week.
Yeah, okay. Akron. Then you go to Old Dominion, who they have not exactly lit the world on fire.
Yeah, but
they lost a close one to UVA this past week. But yeah, solid team.
Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech.
They did.
Lost a close one to UVA.
Yeah.
That could be a good game.
Yeah, could be a good game.
I still like the Flames in that game.
I do too. And then you come home, or no. Then you travel to UMass. By the way, it's Pride Night for that game UMass announced. So interesting that they would do that.
Pride Night, okay.
Yeah. And then you host Gardner-Webb. So there you go. That's homecoming. Then that's when the tough back half starts. So you potentially could be 6-1 if you take care of your business.
But you honestly,
you'll be favored to be.
Let's look at this. You got to get past Old Dominion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Those other ones.
Yeah.
You said Akron, and then you had UMass, and then Old Dominion before that. Gardner-Webb. That was the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Old Dominion game is going to be a big. You win that game, and that puts you at what after UMass? 6-1.
So UMass and then Gardner-Webb. That would put you at 6-1.
So that puts you at 6-1.
With BYU then coming.
Then BYU's coming to town, and they'll probably have one loss too.
Yeah. So then that sets up the back half where it's BYU.
Then
your bye week. Then at Arkansas, which by the way, Arkansas showed some cracks this past week. They squeaked one out against Bobby Petrino and Missouri State. Like they had to come back in the fourth quarter to win that game.
Really?
But I think they're better than they showed. But then you go at UConn, home against Virginia Tech, which suddenly feels in play, does it not?
Oh, it's in play.
Very much in play.
It's more than in play.
Yeah. So
I watched that Virginia Tech game against Wofford. I mean,
Wofford's awful.
And Wofford's not very good.
Yeah.
And Virginia Tech's offense,
and then
it ain't Wake Forest.
And then you close out with New Mexico State. So all that to say,
it's going to be a fun year.
It could be a special year. It could be a really fun year. Will there be some ups and downs with the young quarterback? Absolutely. But I think the defense that they have, which I saw Kyle DeArmond, former Flame coach and player, saying he thinks this is the best defense Liberty has ever had in its history.
I agree.
That's going to give you a chance to maybe weather some of those ups and downs.
Matt Warren.
Yeah.
You go across the board. Darrell Johnson can play.
Yep.
Okay. Kenny Charles can play.
He's getting better every week.
Trayshawn Clark can play.
Yeah.
Right? Those two inside backers.
Mike Smith.
Those two inside
and Ahmad Walker. You got those guys all of this year and next.
They can play.
They're ballers.
Yeah. Chris Manginson can play.
Yep.
Right?
Rocket Rahimi
can
that guy
play.
is looking to take your head off, and in the case of Southern Miss, unfortunately, he did, but it cut his night short. But yes, he's a baller.
Javon Treadwell can play.
Yeah.
Javon Scruggs can play.
Yeah. They've got some players on that side.
It's got depth.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
Fun
to watch.
It's going to be a fun year.
All right, let's quickly go to our Flames Fantasy League update. Flames Fantasy Standings.
I was thinking about this.
All right, well, you're going to be thinking about it some more. Here's how it goes. So Emily this week, she had Day Hunter, which obviously had a big game. We mentioned the 93 rushing yards touchdown. He scored her just shy of 21 points, but then she didn't get much else. Trayshawn Clark and Darrell Johnson, 2.5, 3 points apiece. So she has right now 103.8 points, okay?
103.8.
Yep. She had scored
like a
just
good
under 28.
Station.
Yeah, 28 points this week. Joe, you had obviously a huge day from Demario Douglas, 27.9. He was the leading scorer on the week.
Thank you very much.
CJ Yarbrough got you a little bit. Obviously, you had some guys that didn't do much. Steven Stings, So you guys scored 35 points. So you closed the gap on Emily.
Don't even tell me where this is going right now.
You closed the gap on Emily, and so you trail by 10 points right now to Emily. You have 93.1.
That's a good radio station.
Right. I had Shader Lewis, just the 2 points before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Caleb Snead, best game so far as a Flame. 7.4 points for me. He had, I think, 58 yards receiving, a couple of receptions. Nice play.
Caleb played good.
Where I've made my money is on the defensive side. Mike Smith Jr. gave me 15.5. Ahmad Walker, 13.5. As those guys were just unbelievable. And then got nothing from Javian Lofton. So I scored 38 points. I just jumped to first place. I am a point ahead of Emily. But still, a lot. It's all out there for you, Joe. It's all out there. It's still.
You know what? I was going to take a shot at you right now, but I'm not going to do it.
It's my scoring, isn't it? That's where people, you guys typically go.
No,
all right.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to put your. I'm going to put this election in.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Good.
This election is not going to be.
I appreciate
in a controversy, right? But where I respect your fantasy football game is your overall picks. We're getting big. Like I'm thinking, Demario Douglas killing, he's getting points. But then I got
consistency across the board.
But you got guys like your overall team. You as a general manager
appreciate that.
It's impressive, and that's why you've won a few leagues, and that's why you're a manager of one of my leagues.
Of one of your fantasy teams where we're not having as much success, unfortunately. All right, finally, bold predictions for this week. Last week I took C.J. Yarborough 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Didn't get it. What was yours? I forgot to write it down.
I think I went with Demario Douglas and 2 touchdowns.
You went with that 2 weeks ago.
No, I think I went.
Did
with
you
that.
double up? I never can trust with you. All right.
I went Demario Douglas 2 touchdowns, and then he would catch a pass at the end of the game to put them in a position to win the football game. That was my bold prediction.
I don't think that was at all accurate. I think you said he would catch a deflected pass in the end zone.
At the end to give them a chance to go for 2 in order to win the game, and they would go for 2 and take a chance.
I took C.J. Yarborough to throw a 2-point conversion, and unfortunately didn't get it. All right, bold predictions this week. What do you like against Akron? What stands out to you?
I think Day Hunter is going to go off, and I mean my predictions are bold. I say it's an easy one. I say Day Hunter rushes for over 200 yards.
Over 200.
Yeah, he's going to have a 200-yard day.
Well, he may get the
TJ Green's trying to get back in the mix.
Opportunity.
Correct. And Shedrow's a little banged up. Yeah. He's going to be the featured guy.
Day runs hard, man.
Oh my goodness, he's a little guy too.
Yeah.
He runs angry.
Yeah, it's great. I'm going to go with a 50-plus yard touchdown reception for Caleb Snead. I think you started to see a little bit of that here in this last game.
They're trying to throw him in deep balls.
I think you're going to see him hit one over the top here, here this week. And
I don't know if one is. We got to throw a touchdown in there too. Something's gonna be bold.
Yeah.
Like one bomb's just like 200 yards rushing.
All right, we'll go 75 yards receiving, a 50-yard touchdown catch,
and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, and a TD. Yeah,
he's gonna score.
Right, there you go.
That's bold.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good week. Good week. All right, cool. All right, so that'll do it for us this week. Emily will join us, we think, if she ever returns to the continental U.S.
Can we get her back on American soil?
She'll be back with us next week, and we'll see what that adds to the conversation.
And she's gonna be all happy and have a glow to her.
Yeah, is that right?
And then we're gonna have to. She's gonna be on fire. She's gonna be rested. I know. We're not going to be able to get a word in.
We'll see if she
shows up. We've been talking the whole time.
She's supposed to work this Akron game here Saturday. We'll see.
She?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what she brings to the table. But appreciate it, Joe. Good job as always. The Flame Central Podcast.
It's America's podcast.
Powered
by
Alcova Mortgage. See you next week.